Hey guys, so since it's been a little bit since the trailer came out, I wanted to go ahead and make a video talking about like an analysis of it and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and get on with it. And I also have a translation that I'm using to sort of, I guess, understand the trailer better. It's done by a Tumblr user called Atalantas. So if you guys want to follow them, I'm going to post like an annotation in the video and you can just follow that link. They also posted some stuff about just analysis. They did a really good job. I didn't read all of it because I wanted to have some sort of original thought of my own, but I think we did agree on a lot of things that I did kind of like glance at. But let's go ahead and get started on this. So of course it just starts off saying like Spike Chunsoft, Danganronpa, and then it says new chapter opening. And so with a new chapter opening, I think it just means basically like this is going to be a whole new world, a whole new cast of characters, and I'm kind of going back with a theory that I had before, which was that it's not going to have the old characters presented in this, but it is going to have like connection to the old games. There's a few things that I do want to point out later that kind of imply to me there's going to be some sort of connection, but we'll talk about that a little later on. Okay, so the next thing that pops up is this guy, Robo Naegi, as I like to call him. And so far, I've seen a lot of people kind of like divided on what this character is going to be. A lot of people think he's going to be the protagonist. A lot of people are sort of like hesitant to think he's the protagonist. And I really sort of don't think he's going to be the protagonist. And I guess it's just my theory right now. There's a few things, I guess, like I've noticed that sort of imply he might not be, because it seems so far to me that the trailer and the events are kind of like setting him up to be the protagonist. First of all, because he has an ahoge. Most of the time when you see discussion stuff, it is the other characters and things of that nature, but there's some reasons why I don't think it's going to be him. And the first off thing is the fact that he's like a cyborg, and most of the time in Danganronpa, your character is sort of like the normal one, and everyone else is like the super duper high school, musician, or the super duper high school gamer, or something along those lines. But it's usually like you're kind of like the person who got like the reserve corps student, or like the lucky person that isn't psycho and goes on a killing rampage. So I sort of think it might be just different, or not bad, not like it's a bad thing if he is the main character, but it just seems less likely to me because he kind of sort of has the stigma to him. And other than that, we do mostly see like the main character who's walking around talking to the other girl and the other guy, but you also see him kind of having like discussions, like arguments broken and stuff during the class trial. You also see sort of like him and Monokuma and the other girl all being talked to at the same time, and that was the first thing I noticed. The first clip that we got that has those three characters in it, I was like, well, isn't he the main character? Why is he still on the screen? That's never, been present in a Danganronpa game before. And it could be that they're just changing that format, but it could also mean he's not the main character. And what really made me think about it was in the class trial, there's a picture that looks very much like he's having an argument broken, not that he's breaking an argument. So that's sort of my opinion on him so far. The next character I'm going to point out is this guy that I like to call New Komaeda. And the reason I call him that is because, first of all, he has a like smug look to him that like Tagami had, and Komaeda didn't really have a smug look, I guess, until like towards the end of the game, but he has that sort of like aura around him that he's going to be sort of like the dick character. And I also call him that because his shirt, which I can also sort of point out later, more so on the trailer, it looks very, very similar to the shirt Komaeda wears. And that sort of makes me think that maybe it's possibly a connection to him, like familial, or if it's just trying to reference that he's sort of going to be this type of character again. But other than that, I have seen a couple of other things about him that people have speculated on, and he looks a lot like Kirigiri's dad. He has the purple hair, so some people have also speculated that maybe he has a connection to him. The next thing I'm going to point out is this fish, and this is Fishy Fishy Desu-chan, and he's actually the most important character in this game. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I was really uncertain why there was a fish in this trailer for like the longest time, and then I realized it was just because Monokuma's a bear. So I thought that was really funny, and I wanted to point that out. I mean, I would think it would be pretty hilarious if there was actually some sort of symbolism regarding the fish, but I sort of doubt it. I really think it's just because he's a bear, but who knows. Okay, so the next character I'm going to point out is actually an important character. It's the new girl that's present. And there has been a lot of speculation about her, probably the most out of all three of the characters that I have seen so far. And some things that I've seen online and some things I noticed myself was just, firstly, her hairpin. And at first I saw some people saying that it looked like a treble clef, but to me it looks more like an infinity symbol. That was what I first initially saw when I looked at her character as an infinity symbol, and it's already confirmed that there's going to be time travel in this game, so I really think that she could have a connection to time travel, or maybe she has some sort of like familial relations to like the Future Foundation or something along those lines, and she's trying to kind of figure out time travel, maybe to go back in time and stop this whole despair thing from happening in the first place. The other thing I really noticed about her is that she has a ring on her index finger, and so this can mean a couple of different things. First of all, it can mean possibly a symbol of marriage from what I looked up. It's like something to symbolize marriage. Some people, apparently, from what I've read online, can wear the ring on their index finger until they get married, so it could mean that she's possibly engaged, and she, like maybe he died or passed away or something, and she just left it on there. And that's kind of what I was thinking possibly the flower could mean, if that's the case, that she's kind of wearing it to commemorate her dead fiance. But that's might be a little too far-fetched. The other thing it can possibly mean is that the ring on the index finger can also kind of be like a symbol of ambition or leadership or confidence. And from like her stance in this poster and just kind of like other stances in the clips we've gotten, she looks to be a very confident person. I think she's going to probably be like the next Kirigiri or the next Chiaki, like the main female of the game. And other than that, the thing that I kind of noticed about her was the mole on her cheek. And in Danganronpa, most people don't really have any facial like features on them. I know like Fuyuhiko had freckles, but the only two other characters I've noticed in the games to have like a mole would be Fukawa and to be Mikan. So I was wondering if maybe there was some sort of connection there between those characters, because she kind of looks like Fukawa. I know a lot of people online are saying she looks like Kirigiri, but I do see some sort of relation to Fukawa because they dress the same when you compare their outfits. She also has like the same length of hair as well, so I was thinking possibly she either was a fan of her work and kind of like emulated her, or like maybe her work in writing or the Future Foundation, but again, that could be a little too far-fetched, and maybe it is more like a familial connection, or maybe it doesn't mean anything. As for Mikan, I thought that it would be maybe a little bit less likely just because Mikan was pretty deep in despair, so I think that if she woke up from the capsules or whatever, that she would probably still be in despair, and she was pretty in love with Junko, so I just don't really see her having kids anytime soon. Also, there's like the fragments that are surrounding them, and I think the fragments just kind of symbolize them breaking out of the dome and trying to get out of this killing game. So that's the full poster. And the next thing is Monokuma being his cute little creepy self, and it says a few things, and it just says, "Sorry I made you wait, finally it's Rampa time." And I think this kind of refers to Danganronpa another episode, how we had to wait a little bit longer to get another mystery game. So I don't think there's any sort of deep story reference there, but more just kind of like time frame of the game being released. So the next thing I'm going to mention is what it says next, and it sort of has like the high school insignia, and then it says, "The school stage was surrounded by a huge cage, Talented Prisoners Academy." So I think this pretty much implies that all the students in this next game are going to be talented prisoners. And as for like the whole imprisonment thing, I was thinking, going back to kind of like my theory about how it could possibly be like connected to the previous games, but like the characters from the old games don't necessarily show up, would be maybe these kids are tied to Future Foundation, because if you look on further, you can see sort of like there's structures and stuff with Monokuma's face on it, and there's also like a hotel that's still up and running that has like Kumanami like based off of Monokuma, so it seems like people are really kind of like okay with this whole despair thing. So maybe there's organizations that sort of evolved to try and stop Future Foundation, and these kids sort of had like an involvement with it, and that's why they got imprisoned in this sort of like dome area. But that's sort of all speculation, and was just something I noticed. So the next part just has to do with the class trial. We see all the Monokumas, and it says advanced high-speed reasoning action. The things that I've just kind of noticed, they have like a three-way sort of talk right now. I guess a non-stop debate is what it sort of looks like to me. I'm not really sure if it means anything other than just that it will be like a three-way kind of debate. It could be a different mini game, or it could just be a different structure that it has, like a different look. I'm not really sure. And the next thing they show is just like a small snippet of this picture that has like Monokuma, Robot Naegi, and then the new girl. And so it says Chapter 3 at the top, then it also says Level 1, which is kind of interesting. I'm not really sure if they just didn't, I don't know, edit the level, or if you're actually going to be Level 1 during Chapter 3, if there's going to be some sort of difficulty setting that you can choose. But the fact that it does have Chapter 3 does kind of imply that both of these characters are going to live till Chapter 3. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And there's also a translation for this. I can't remember exactly what it was. I might have to put an annotation on the screen, but I will edit that in a little bit. So the next thing that shows up is the new girl, and then just like a bunch of words around her, and I think this is another sort of mini game that will be present in the game, maybe one that wasn't present before. I think it might have to do with lying. There's a lot of speculation that that's sort of like the main theme of this game. And so what is being said in this right now is it has to be a man. He is probably lying, I'm indifferent, and caused corpse to show up. So I think maybe with this minigame it could be where you choose if you want to lie or not. There's sort of a reference later in the video that says like in a game where you can use lies or something along those lines. And I think it's kind of referring to like maybe this, where you could possibly lie to change the trials. I know in an interview with Kodaka he said that he didn't want to make a game that has like a ton of different alternate endings. He said he thought it took away from the adventure of it, so I don't think there'll be like a million different endings for this game. But I do think that it will allow us possibly to lie more and just kind of like give us some more freedom when referring to that. And the next picture is just kind of Monokuma, and it looks to be like a panic talk action sort of deal. Maybe when you like refute their argument at the end of it. I didn't really see a whole lot other than that to analyze in this picture. So the next thing is a conversation you have with the new girl, and it has question marks at the top for the character who's talking, the main character, I'm assuming. I guess it could also be her, but it sort of doesn't really look like she's talking unless they haven't edited her sprite yet. But I thought it was interesting they had the question marks. Does it possibly mean that the new character doesn't know who he is? And he sort of says something along the lines of like, why am I here? And I wonder why we're being in a place like this. And it sort of implies to me that the person doesn't know who he is. There was another theory, if it was the robot Naegi sort of guy who is the main character, maybe he was forced to become like a cyborg or a robot against his own will. And I think I could possibly see that. Maybe he lost his memory chip or something along those lines, and that's why he doesn't know who he is. But he says that, and then the new Komaeda cuts in and he says, why is it, I wonder? And he has question marks too. So I'm guessing that's just because you don't know his name. I'm gonna assume, I guess it says Chapter 1. I know it says Prologue later in the game, so I'm not sure if you don't meet the characters until Chapter 1, which seems kind of strange to me. But that's just something interesting I sort of pointed out. But with the new Komaeda, with his line, it does sort of imply to me that he is going to be sort of the dick character. He just seems like he knows something, like, why is it? I wonder. The way he says that just seems sort of like, I know what's going on, but I'm not gonna tell you. And then the next thing, it just shows another sort of like thing in the class trial that I guess you have to refute his argument or something along those lines. And I don't think I ever got the translation for this. I didn't find it. If I do find it before posting this video, I'll add it in there, but I'm not completely sure exactly what this is. Maybe some sort of new minigame, or just, like I was saying before, one of the old minigames, they just sort of like changed how it looks a little bit. But then here is the picture of the robot Naegi looking guy, and it shows like a refute going into something that's behind him, and that's why I'm really thinking he's not the main character, because it seems like our character, the main character, is refuting his argument. So I just really think Kodaka is trying to pull one over us and that he's not actually the main character, but that's my personal opinion so far. So the next thing it says is the series' biggest trick in history that unfolds a psychonuclear stage. I'm not sure if it just means like psycho as in kind of the prisoners thing. I guess it could possibly be referring to like a psych ward, if not the Future Foundation thing. Possibly, I'm not really sure. But other than that, the trick could be referring to either something that happens later in the game, or maybe Kidaka's trying to trick us by saying that, oh, it doesn't have like any of the old characters in it, but it still sort of connects, and he's just kind of like not talking about that. So it could be referring to a couple of things about that, possibly. The next thing is just some more refutes. Looks like to the girl, the main girl, then the robot Naegi, another sort of like refute or something, some sort of like, there's a lot of words on the screen, so I have no idea what that's supposed to be, and it goes by really fast. Even like sort of pausing it on there, you can't really see exactly what's being said or what's going on in it, so it still kind of looks like he's not the main character from those pictures. Then just shows some sort of like, you're looking around the school, then a three-way argument between the three characters that have been revealed so far. Again, doesn't really look like he's the main character. I'm really like adamant about that theory. Then it shows some blood, and it says something along the lines of like, how could this happen? It shows Robot Naegi off the side, so I'm guessing possibly he's saying that. It still has the question mark, so I don't know if that's still referring to the main character or maybe Robot Naegi and they don't know his name. Or maybe I'm overthinking this and they didn't want to tell us the names yet. Class trial action, and then it just shows the title. And this next line, I think that is coming up, is the one about the lies. Yes, a world that lies can change. So basically, it could possibly be referring to us being able to use lies, and that can change sort of like the outcome of this trial, maybe the outcome of the whole game, which would be really interesting. And then the next thing it says, are you willing to use those lies? So it could be meaning like, if you want to change the game, you can, but if you want to sort of play the game like usual, you can also do that. So here's the silhouettes of all the new characters, and it's pretty funny. A lot of people for a while were saying it's only 15 characters, but that there's actually a really, really tiny character towards the end of like the sentence who's just really, really freaking short. So people are kind of pointing out where each character is. I'll put that on the screen. You can kind of see Robot Naegi is next to Nuka off the right hand side from where I am, and a lot of people were speculating that like he's not in the middle, so maybe that does mean the other girl's the main character because she is more in the middle. But as for the other characters, we don't really know a whole lot about them. I do know some people are saying that one of the characters sort of looks like Nagisa, like the hair resembles it, and honestly, I would love that. I would love it if he came back. He was probably my favorite character in another episode, but I was pretty excited when I heard people talking about that, and I looked it up, but to me, it sort of looks like the legs for that person looks like a girl, and it sort of looks like they're wearing a skirt, so maybe like a familial connection to Nagisa or something along those lines, but I sort of don't think it's Nagisa, and I hate to say it, but I just don't think it is. As for the rest of the characters, there is somebody else with an ahoge, and I was honestly looking at this and I was thinking, maybe that's the main character. It's not the robot guy, it's the other person with the ahoge, and that might be sort of just not so information-based theory on my part, but it's an idea, you know, because they've always had an ahoge protagonist before, but maybe because this is like a new game with a new setting and all that fun stuff, we're actually not going to get a protagonist with an ahoge, and they're trying to really change up the old style, so who knows. As for that, the last thing is just Monokuma, and then like 2016, I'm guessing next to it says releasing soon in 2016 or something along those lines, but that's pretty much it for my trailer analysis. I'll be sure to add in a couple of things if I missed anything, and I might go back and kind of analyze a couple of these things that I sort of skimmed over later, but after this, I really want to analyze the anime trailer and sort of talk about that, and then maybe I can come back to this. But let me know what you guys think. These are all just kind of things that I've noticed, and a couple of things I've seen online and stuff about it and referring to it. I'm really excited about this game, obviously. But let me know what you guys think. If you agree with some of my theories, if you have some of your own you'd like to mention in the comment section, let me know, and I will see you guys next time.